Thank you very much. Pastry time elation for Chinese fans and heartbreak for North American fans as Team WE put together two of the most impressive victories back-to-back to bring that series to a close and push themselves to that semifinal that they've been building towards for so long.
And they finally shake the curse. You know, we talk about Jensen himself. He's maybe had some trembles in Game 5, but Team WE, as Papa Smithy was talking about, keep running into this roadblock, and they finally just smash through it. And so much of that was attributed to this draft. For the entire series, Cloud9 had been out-drafting Coach Ohm, and then at the very last second, leave open the Galio.
That Yordle, the Rumble, second ban, why? How on earth does that one happen?
I mean, more so, why don't you just take the Galio? You had it first rotation there if you wanted it for Cloud9. I think people will be pointing that for some time, but hey, on the day, the draft fell, the chips fell where they were, and for Team WE, it was about executing on that draft, and the comfort showed with those champions.
It already makes Game 1 that much more important. The fact that Team WE were able to survive the initial curveball of such a creative draft from Cloud9 allowed them to get to this point where Cloud9 just frankly ran out of steam with their innovative picks.
And I mean, it's the fact that we have seen WE perform so well on all of those champions. There's a whole bunch of things that we can go back and nitpick throughout this series, but honestly, really well played by them. And they showed why everyone's so shocked that they got these champions. They displayed that, yes, you know, these are the reasons on the Rift right there.
We will, of course, see a Team WE replay, but before we get there, I want to take a look at a C9 one. This one 3-0 in the bot lane because it shows the effort made by C9 to target out this bot lane, knowing that they were working against the clock to some degree here.
This is them utilizing the Shen in the great way possible, which is you just teleport him to the other part of the map, you get your man advantage, and on top of that, you got to roam your Orianna. So it's a 5-on-3 this entire time. But WE have their top laner, 957, constantly taking away top lane turrets, so the trades are pretty much even.
They get a top lane turret, and then they get an Infernal Drake after that. So in the end, Team WE, yes, they would rather have not died down there to the Shen play, but still came out very well.
All right, but again, you know, that replay shows that Cloud9 recognized the fact that you get to that mid-game point without a big enough advantage, and the Kog'Maw gets to an unkillable state, being supported by the Galio and the Janna. That eventually will be the case. We are going to have, in just a moment, head down to an interview. So before we get there, I just want to talk about, once again, for this Team WE squad, what it means to come back to the victory, right? Again, to be down 2-1, to have the looks on the faces like they did, and to then mount those two victories, knowing that this propels them to a semifinal. When you're looking at that next best of 5, it feels like you've already run the gauntlet. You're kind of prepared for everything.
It's also reaping the rewards of what they've been working for the last 2 years. It was 2015 when CA and Mystic joined the squad. They debuted in the IEM match across from TSM when they took down the GE Tigers. And from then, it's just been kind of this slow incremental of moving the chains, grinding up, moving up the ladder. MSI was kind of the first big appearance, but this is what we've been working for the entire time. Yes, they're not world elite, but they've always been chasing that title again.
After an incredible 5-game series, let's go ahead and throw it down to Shox, who's standing by with Team WE's mid laner.
Thank you very much, guys. Joined here by Xie after doing what seemed impossible after being down match point. How did you guys find the strength to come back in the series and in the end win the game and lock in that semifinal?
你们刚刚在又打到赛点嘛，然后很紧张，你们最后是怎么就是平复的心情，然后赢回这场比赛的呢？
主要是我就算打到第4局的时候，我们1比2落后的时候，我觉得我们实力是可以战胜对面的，我们实力比对面强。然后接下来之后 BP 不出问题，然后还有选手个人心态不出问题，我觉得我们是可以赢下 C9的。
After the third match, we were actually down 1-2, but we knew that we were already strong and we were able to beat them if we don't make any mistakes in terms of our ban picks, and also if our players are all in the right mentality. So we knew we were going to be able to win.
Well, you guys had really convincing games. After that, I saw a big sign here that said, keep your dreams and never give up. Of course, the slogans of both RNG and Team WE. How important is it for the LPL that there's 2 teams advancing here to the semifinal?
所以刚刚在观众里面的话，也看到了一些粉丝特意给你们做的灯牌，是把你们和 RNG 的那个Keep Your Dreams 以及Never Give Up 全都放在一起了。那你觉得说2支 LPL 队伍能够成功晋级到4强，对我们 LPL 来讲的话是意味着什么呢？
就捍卫住了 LPL 的荣耀，也为我们主场增加了更多的优势吧。就毕竟我们主场嘛，我们希望我们能拿到更好的成绩来面对 LPL 的观众。
So we're able to defend LPL's honor on the world stage, and it's especially important for us because this is our home court, and we really want to show that LPL is a very strong region.
Yeah, on top of that, Team WE hasn't been at Worlds since 2012. Now you've gone through the play-ins, gone through the group stage, gone through 5 games here, and next up is Samsung. What do you think to your chances for that matchup?
所以 W 的话，也是好久没有进入到世界赛当中了，然后你们这次又经历了入围赛、小组赛，现在到8强赛，那你们认为在接下来的话，跟3星对决当中的话，有多大的几率能够取胜呢？
我相信我们队友状态都是比3星的人更强的，然后我觉得我们胜率的话，我们都是对自己有信心的，所以我觉得我们上次3星问题应该不大，因为我们都对自己比较有信心。
I think most of our players are stronger than Samsung's players, and we're also very confident in our own personal skills. So we're pretty confident in beating Samsung.
Well, it's going to be a fantastic matchup as it was today. Thank you very much, Hia. Congratulations. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Sharks. CA confident against Samsung Galaxy, but we have to remember that Samsung Galaxy is the team that mounted a 3-0 in order to move to the semifinals, right? And so when we talk about, is figuring out your opponents, there's a lot more evidence of WE than there is of Samsung Galaxy moving towards that semifinal.
And normally I would not feel the same confidence that he has towards this matchup, but what he says, that the draft is very important for this team, and it's not so much that I see it as you have to get the right meta composition, but the comfort picks for this squad in particular. When they get what they're good on and it clicks, they are very strong.
And a reminder that, there is experience across from Samsung. LPL faced the Rift rivals. They took down SKT. They took down Samsung. The LPL teams are not afraid. They all want to face Samsung. They all want to face SKT.
The idea of comfort picks is a perfect setup for our final Acer Predator replay here in this game. 21 minutes in, C9, they pull the trigger, look to kill Mystic, and it just doesn't happen.
Already at this point, you're looking down, they have Lockets prepared, Janna comes through, Galio damage reduction. It doesn't feel like they even get that close to killing him, and as soon as that ends right there, they've expended everything, and it's everybody scramble, run for your lives.
Which is crazy, because everything hit, right? Cloud9 in terms of execution, they land the Sejuani ult, they land the Orianna ult, everything hits, and it's just not enough to push that damage through.
Emphasizing again why the Galio, why the Janna, why the itemization were just so key and so important there. You cannot give those picks away, because if Mystic ever makes a mistake, he has the confidence that his team has his back.
And I mean, his Kog'Maw, you see it there, 28.5 thousand damage, but honestly, when I watch him do auto attacks, it feels like he's doing way more damage than any other Kog'Maw, and it's quite interesting because nobody else from the semifinalists or even quarterfinals even prioritized this pick. Back in Rift Rivals, WE was first picking this champion when Galio was even stronger. That just shows how good this guy is and how much confidence we have on this comfort pick.
Exactly, and talking about the comfort picks and the specialization of those players, it makes you question even more than just the Rumble ban. Then you even start to be like, what about the Xayah then? Can we even drop that with him, hyper focus on this Kog'Maw and then try and ban it? But then you're living in the past, and we can't do that. We need to move on, Dad.
Well,
7 years.
But on the topic of comfort picks, right? Somebody that wasn't necessarily on comfort this time around was 957 on the Gnar. Today he had a incredible showing in helping mount a crucial victory for his team. He will receive our Player of the Series award. And so let's talk about this guy.
All I'm saying is people are like, oh, Con this, Cuvee that, so as amazing. If you add all that up, you get 957. This guy is the unsung hero. He is so underrated. If you think all the way back to MSI, his Kled come charging through and completely changing up that tournament. And here he's on the back half, the tanks, and he still had a great performance even in their losses.
This guy is always threatening the enemy's backline. Whether he is the Rumble or drawing the Rumble bans or he's on his Cho'Gath, he constantly performs really intelligent decisions from him throughout this tournament.
And I want to add a little fun fact about him because we don't have anybody else that also is named with purely numbers. If you look at your number pad, 957 forms a V. Somebody else already took the name, so He had to go for it.
Funnily enough, there's a dude who looks exactly, as I throw my pin, a guy who looks exactly like 957, and his name is V, so that is the joke. If you look at your keypad, it creates a V. They look identical.
There it is, but I think, again, if we talk about Game 5 in isolation, he was such a crucial member in terms of the victory because while C9 was making moves and actually creating action, getting the kills in the bot lane, those crucial 2 turrets, the first turret going to 957, we saw this massive disparity between him and the Shen and the map pressure that created, as well as, once again, the pressure that it put on C9 just in terms of feeling like they had to make something happen, really pushed them to the brink.
And I think that WE really trusts 957. With the Gnar, they knew that he was going to be able to take turrets, but I want to look back at Game 3 as well, when they took the Cho'Gath in the first rotation, when that was that infamous already Maokai jungle. Well, they knew that, hey, this guy's Cho is so good that we can afford to do this, that we can take it in an early rotation so it doesn't get banned out. And if we see more focus on him, I think he'll continue to deliver results.
And reminder, he is a bedrock emotionally for this team. Like Ambition, he is very, he's an older guy. I mean, Kobe, you might know something about that. So he's just very humble, down to earth, super motherly. Sorry, Kobe.
It's all right, Kobe.
I didn't know I had to reach, and I was like, burnt Kobe, that's fine. I love you.
How's that back doing? Everything
Great,
good over
great.
there?
We're
All right, just making sure. All right, hey, we're ready for another interview. Let's toss it down to Shox, who's standing by with WE's bot laner.
Thank you very much, guys. Was also able to grab Mystic, the superstar 80 carry, bringing it home, who seemed very, very emotional and down after that third game. We also saw you getting a massage from the coach and a pep talk. What was said and what allowed you to get yourself back on the Rift and get yourself back together for that Game 4 and 5?
우선 4강 진출 축하드리고요. 3경기 패배 이후에 이제 옴무 감독님께서 이제 미티 선수 막 등 뒤를 막 이제 마사지 해주면서 되게 막 조언을 해주고 격려를 해준 것도 처음으로 보였는데 그때 혹시 무슨 얘기 들었는지 궁금하고요. 이제 그 이후에 어떻게 다시 추스려서 경기를 역전할 수 있었는지 그 원동력이 무엇인지 궁금합니다.
저희가 그때 지고 있는 상황에서 오무 형이 저 막 충분히 역전할 수 있다고 첫 판도 되게 불리했는데도 이겼다 막 그렇게 말씀해 주시면서 좀 멘탈 잡으라고 이렇게 얘기해 주셨어요.
So after we lost Game 3, Om came up to us and he said that for Game 1, you guys, even for Game 1, even though you're behind, you guys still managed to win the game. So keep up the game and still hold on to the confidence. And he helped us a lot in grabbing our mentality.
Well, you needed to step up for sure because it was all about the bottom lane almost all series. What did you think of the opposition in Smoothie and Sneaky, and how do you think you did today?
거의 모든 경기가 바텀 라인전이 가장 그 핫하게 이제 맨날 계속 이제 격전이 이루어질 정도로 되게 많은 교전이 있었는데요. 상대편 바텀 라인이 스니키 선수랑 스무디 선수 어땠는지 어떤 선수들을 평가되는지 좀 말씀 부탁드립니다.
일단 저희가 더블킬 따였기 때문에 저희가 발렸죠. 네. 캐리해 주신 팀원 감사합니다. 팀원들에게 팀원이 캐리해 줘서 감사하다고.
So when we lost 2v2, like that just showed that which was a better bot lane. So I just want to say thanks to my teammates for carrying me.
Oh, well, we had an interview with Shia, your mid laner, before. I asked him about Samsung matchup, and he was very confident you guys would be able to beat them. What do you think to the matchup?
이전 인터뷰에서 같은 팀 미드라이너 시에 선수랑 인터뷰했었는데요. 시에 선수는 이제 4강에서 삼성팀 이길 자신 있다고 되게 자신 있게 말씀하셨는데 미스 선수는 어떻게 생각하시나요? 삼성전에 대해서?
일단 롱주를 이기고 올라온 팀이기 때문에 그걸 쉽게 생각하면 안 될 것 같고 일단 미드는 그래도 시제가 더 잘할 것 같은데 요즘 보면은 저만 좀 잘하면 되지 않을까.
Of course, since Samsung beat Longzhu, I think that it's going to be a very tough matchup, and we can never put our guards down. But I do have faith in CA that CA can outplay Crown. So I think it's just on me whether I can play my best.
All right, we'll be looking forward to that. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mystic. Thank you, Homin, as well. That was it from here on the floor. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Shox. Pointing to CA's performance as solid and his own as being the one that'll be pivotal to success against Samsung Galaxy, but also giving a nod to Sneaky and Smoothie as being the better bot lane on the day. And as we do say goodbye to Cloud9, the last Western team to exit the tournament, I just want to take a moment to talk about, once again, what they've achieved. Having hit quarterfinals as many times as they did, this time going up to, 2-1 in the series, being one win away from making that semifinal.
Constantly innovating. Graves pick, you know, they had the Shen special counter to Scout's play style. They had the Singe pick. They were constantly trying to push the envelope. As you brought up before, you know, the teams that got out of the groups in first place seemed to get a little bit complacent with the new styles that they were going to try and bring. And so it was really refreshing, and Cloud9 never gave up.
Yeah, no, it's the fact that they got better over the course of the tournament, not just in their adaptation, but also in their execution. When I was studying Cloud9 coming into it, I was very scared about their decisiveness. You know, they were always great at setting up, but then executing on the plays, sometimes they would fumble. It's why they struggled domestically and came in as 3rd seed. But in this tournament, all of those, you know, indecisive moments looked gone. And it was actually, you know, Impact and Jensen and Contracts all stepping up. And then on this day, Smoothie and Sneaky joining them. So they should hold their heads up high.
It'll sting now, but they should look back on it fondly. With this week complete, it's time to highlight some players that stood out in the quarterfinals. Here are our Best of the Rift, brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. For quarterfinals, we've got Samsung Galaxy's Ambition, SKT's Faker, RNG's Ming, and Team WE's 957. First up, it's Ambition.
And this entire tournament, we know the teams need Bedrocks, and Ambition is basically the head of Samsung. If he is not playing, this team looks completely lost. But when he is on his game, especially when it showed against Longzhu, this team looks completely revitalized. And spearheading such a veteran just makes it such a devastating team in the best of 5.
Completely agree. Everyone's looking at me.
Well, I'm looking at either of you.
I had a senior moment, okay?
yeah, nice cover. Hey, but because we got to take a moment to talk about these guys as they are phenomenal. Next up, no surprise, Faker.
Yeah, it's a Hide on Bush Senpai, the unkillable Demon King, Faker himself. This guy is reminding everyone why he is the best player in the world. Even in SKT shaky losses, when we have so many questions about what type of form they're coming into, no one is questioning Faker right now.
Yeah, all summer long, it was a little wish-wash, but when playoffs came around, this guy just kicked it to high gear. I haven't seen him in this form in a long time, and he has
been really animated.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta actually know how to.
You have to
drive.
kick it.
I drive stick.
Yeah, kick it up in a high gear. He did. I mean, again, showing his veteran status, showing why he's the best player in the world, winning that 5th game. So he's not ready to say goodbye to his world titles just yet. Next up, we have Ming.
Ming, to me, was just so outstanding. Yes, Uzi definitely deserved his MVP, but Ming did so much to get him there. Remember from group stages, he was the one to go the longest without dying. He ended with the highest KDA. He had the 2nd highest kill participation of anybody in the group stages, and the all-important Soraka pick. I just feel like because pick and ban was so important in all of these quarterfinals, having an extra card like that to be able to mess with the Ardent Sensor supports really gave them an upper hand.
And he's certainly not out of cards. He still has that pocket Leona pick. I know we've already seen it this tournament, but Ming actually plays it.
Well, I was going to say, that's the thing. Somebody else already showed it. I mean, someone's now shown the Singe. The question is who's going to maybe adapt and pick that up. The Leonas. I mean, there's the Tom Kench that Wolf had to pull out. There is so much innovation here in the quarterfinals. And funnily enough, it's the 1 seeds that were pushed to it in the moment who had to adapt and react. But it'll be very curious to see how the meta continues to evolve throughout the tournament. Finally, it's 957. Let's talk about this guy again.
And we can continue to talk about him all day. The reason why Team WE, their team fighting is so consistent, it's not just this guy in the lane phase, it's also the zone and the pressure that he creates in those team fights, allowing Mystic to sit and spit on that Kog'Maw and rack up those damage numbers.
Sit and spit. I like it. That's the Kog'Maw play style that we'll stick to. Honestly, yeah, I can't say enough about this guy. Also, in addition, the importance of the teleport timings, we did really see big plays pull off that way.
Alrighty, we'll see which players will step up next week as we ship off to Shanghai for the semifinals. From the first gank till the final ace, you can follow the best of the Rift in more places than ever before. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Now, our week in Guangzhou was packed with moments that made the crowd roar, and we couldn't call it a day without looking at those big plays. Brought to you by Acer. First up, Cabby Kun was floored by Uzi's play in his first series versus Fnatic.
Caps gets at least one kill on the way out. Baron secured. Flash out again from Jesus. Uzi's going low. The Baron he gets one. Manages to rocket jump away. MLXG's trying to channel. Flash forward from Broxer. Gets the Baron. She's not done. But here comes Reckless.
Then this fight is insane. Uzi stands his ground, moves forward, kills Jesses, gets the reset, hits the plan. Everything feels like it's planned. Then he still has Flash after all of this to finally get the execute.
I mean, the audience may be floored, but for me, that's just another Tuesday for Uzi. That's like standard.
I always like how they show the player cams for Uzi, and that entire series, he's just laughing his ass off after every single play, regardless if he died or not.
I was going to say every single play except for the Nexus turret death. That one probably didn't have a smile following it. Next up, Sartorius tweeted out, when people say supports can't carry, Ignar says, challenge accepted.
They turn to Wolf as Bang feels like he can get back into the fight. Just 158
has no heal.
Hansama. One more shot as Wolf wants the glitter lands. Bang almost got the barrier comes in. One onto Bang. Fight in the jungle still. Here comes Hansama. Wolf's going down. 2 kills in the bot lane as Misfits pull the trigger.
Talia will have priority afterwards.
I win on P1. What is he doing?
Talia is moving now to you. Talia is moving to you now, okay?
Come to me, come to me, come to me.
I can go.
You need to be careful now. You need to be careful now, Maxo.
I'm fine.
Kill him.
This guy's so... It wasn't until that moment he's chasing down the vein that everyone in the caster room, we all realized, it's a Fervor Leona! It's gonna kill him!
Yeah, totally ignoring the keystones until that moment. I have to be so impressed with how calm those comms were. I mean, in that moment, everyone's, a second away from death, an auto attack away from death. And once again, I'll point out the Flash Relic Shield a heal to stay alive.
Right, in that moment, you're in the zone. You don't want anybody telling you what to do. All you need to hear is the timing of who's coming down. So they say, hey, someone's coming down river. You got this much time. You keep doing your thing.
Well, keep tweeting to @LOL Esports with your big plays all throughout Worlds, and we'll keep sharing them all the way to the finals. Now it's time to talk about the semifinal matches as we have them locked in. Let's pull up the bracket. Semifinal weekend starts with RNG taking on the reigning champs, SKT, on October 28th. Then Team WE hope to topple Samsung Galaxy on Sunday, October 29th. Let's talk about these two matchups for just a bit. Starting with SK Telecom T1 versus Royal Never Give Up.
I mean, it's a shaky SKT and also, frankly, a shaky RNG. RNG also haven't really adapted their style. They're still finding victories the same way, and SKT did at least tighten things up and match Misfits when they went to Game 5.
Yeah, actually, this series is interesting to me because we've seen this RNG that's so much more late game oriented and has not been the typical, what we expect of rushing forward and snowballing super early. But Misfits was a lot about early game versus SKT. And they were able to upset them with all these, the Ignar picks that you're talking about and trying to bum rush. So, will we see RNG flex a little bit more early game muscle, or are they actually just going to go late game toe-to-toe with SKT? Because either of those sound like a very exciting series to me.
I mean, absolutely. But when I look at the series of SKT RNG, I'm thinking about the mentality that both these teams are coming into. I find that RNG is a little bit more confident in their demeanor, in the way that they play, even though it looked still a bit shaky compared to the SKT that we always know is super confident going into games. They're actually saying, we thought this was the end for us.
And it's also
in their game against Misfits. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I was like, it's the end for SKT. Move on to the it's also the revenge of Uzi. The fact that this is the 2013 finals rematch there, and with Wolf and Bang, kind of underperforming. Even Coach Koma was pretty upset in one of those interviews. Uzi and Ming have to have big grins on their faces, knowing that Ignar has created a blueprint for them to follow.
All right, WE Samsung Galaxy. How about this one?
I think this one actually is a bit more Samsung favored than the other one is. Like, we usually give Korea, a huge advantage here, but honestly, seeing WE stretch like this, I feel like Samsung are going to be able to follow up pretty well.
Yeah, Samsung to me right now looked like the tournament favorites. They took down the previous tournament favorites, which were Longzhu, and just dismantled them in a 3-0 fashion, the cleanest of the quarterfinals. And the play that they showed just exceeded the expectations that we had of Samsung at any stage throughout the year. So, frankly, WE is going to have to change up a lot if they want to put up a fight here.
And it's not just the play that they were executing on, it's also the manner of which they did it through the draft phase, which is what WE really struggled with today in this best of 5. Samsung just completely out-drafted around Longzhu, picking out the Lysandre pick, and who knows what else they have in their arsenal.
A quick preview of next week's matches, but it's time to put a close on our quarterfinals. So now for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and stay tuned after the show for Worlds tonight, where Shox, Frosker, and Azael will break down Team WE's win and look towards the semifinals. Otherwise, we'll see you in Shanghai for more Worlds 2017. Good night.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them scream?